October the 27th, 2025. Guys, you're looking at information coming in today. PBS has got this out. Also, the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, has a notice out verifying this, but it says no federal food aid will go out November 1st. Today was a deadline for many states. In other words, if the Senate has not voted in a continuing resolution for the nation's billing, then by the 27th, nothing would go out November 1st. And now this is the 27th, and it's at the end of the day. There's a lot of information going on out there. Some are saying that some stores are boarding up. And if you think about it, go back to Katrina, we saw it. We didn't have a lot of problems here, but the Walmart did. And that's because, did you know that about 25% of Walmart's business is from SNAP? And after Katrina hit, they couldn't get the information on the EBT cards or whatever they were using then. And there were fights, riots. And in McGee, Mississippi, where the Walmart was, it's a very small police department. You couldn't handle but a couple of those 400-pounders, if you understand what I'm saying. And so there's people that naively think, well, they just bring the sheriff in, they'll stop all that. No, there's not enough sheriffs for 25% of Walmart's business to be suddenly shut down. Now, will Walmart close in anticipation of destruction? Again, some rumors going around that some of the smaller stores are actually boarding up now. That's how important it is. That's what my Huskies are saying that also. But again, no federal food aid will go out November 1st. The new notice comes after the Trump administration said it would not tap roughly $5 billion in contingency funds to keep benefits through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAPs, flowing in November. That program helps about 1 in Americans buy groceries. Guys, you know that's a really sucky number. 7 of us have to work with our taxes to pay for, and a lot of times either illegals or people that weigh 300 or 400 pounds and don't want to work. There are people that need help. But I remember back in the day, you didn't have all of this. It wasn't like that, and our taxes were a lot lower. Now, Trump is taking advantage of it. He knows there's going to be a lot of crying and moaning going on, but this is exposing the Democrats for what they are, because they are not voting on the bill. This was the 12th time today they said no. But also today they all kind of went in for a Mandani over in New York for mayor. Now that would be a disaster either way, because you got a choice between him and Cuomo. And Cuomo was the leader of the destruction during the you-know-what up your sleever, right? Daily reports, shutting down nursing homes, everything like that. So you got two evils. Maybe Cuomo is not quite as bad. Maybe not quite as bad, but it's still pretty bad. But now the Democrats went in, and all of them, Jeffries and all of them, Schumer for Mandami. Now, you'd think right away that should anger you, right? Nation's largest city, the world's, the big city of the world. But let me tell you something. If they vote for it, they deserve it. None of us that watch this, that have a choice, would even go visit New York. Wouldn't want to come within 200 or 300 miles of it. It's so spiritually and physically polluted. Same way with the big cities in California and Chicago and all those places. Wouldn't want to have anything to do with it. And since we're running out of money and this $5 billion they wanted to use, Democrats did, Trump's going to save that for the military, that group. Now let me say this, the USDA offices, again, check this out, I checked it out. They will be open for farmers that are getting subsidies. And that's key to keeping the food supply to everyone that in the nation. So that will happen. But those guys are not, they work harder than most anybody else on the planet. So, and they need that help because they feed us. They're not draining us dry like a lot of the parasites we're talking about now. But imagine 25% of Walmart's business, roughly $2 billion a month, is going to SNAP to pay for the people that, again, you got 2 or 3% that have no choice, maybe 5%. The rest are just freeloading bonds. If you're going to have 8 kids and you're going to, because you can get $1,500, $1,600 a month, you deserve what's about to happen to you. And a lot of those people didn't care even who the baby's daddy was. Now they're going to care. Anyway, and it was draining us dry, guys. And that well has run dry. That's what the USDA is saying. Bottom line, the well has run dry. The USDA notice says, and that's my puppy saying, asking about will that affect dog food. No, we buy the dog food outright. You don't get chips for that. Anyway, says there will be no benefits issued November 1st. We are approaching an inflection point for Senate Democrats. The shutdown, which began October 1st, is now the second longest on record. While the Republican administration took steps leading up to the shutdown to ensure SNAP benefits were paid this month, the cutoff would expand the impact of the impasse to a wider swath of Americans, and some of those most in need, unless a political resolution is found in a few days. Again, today was the deadline for the process even to begin to send out money. It's over. The administration blames Democrats who say they will not agree to reopen the government until Republicans negotiate with them on extending expiring subsidies under the Affordable Care Act. What they're saying is we want insurance, we want Medicare, and we want SNAP for the illegal aliens. They are destroying themselves. Let them all move to New York and let that become Sodom. Who cares anymore? They think that we're going to go into every city and try to clean it up. I think that the Trump administration is finally realizing that's going to take a lot of money, so let them wallow in their filth. And this is Trump is again taking advantage of this. He's going to clean up all these SNAP rolls, like the voter rolls, and find out who's getting what. And you're going to see a lot of healthier people going around losing 200 or 300 pounds. And you cannot just eat snacks on SNAP. They think that's what that means. Snaps. Anyway, and I'm making light of it because it needed to be done. I know people here in this area that are perfectly able to work, mothers and fathers. Kids are in school, so there's no babysitting deal, but they're getting hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of SNAP. And now they're going to either have to go to work, or that when that hunger button hits where both sides of your stomach touches from the back and the front, they'll go to work. But by then, well, if they even can get a job, because most of them are so lip-tarded, they don't know what work is. And I'm just being honest. We are looking at a purge. We're looking at a reset, possibly right away. Financial resets because of things like this. Now, when you talk about Walmart losing $2 billion a month for not getting our taxpayer money delivered to them, then to China via the SNAP program, that's just the number that's the top number. But when you start going down through it and adding up all the problems, what if some of them do have to shut down? What if they have to lock the doors and people wait in line outside because so much theft, vandalism, and fighting is going on? There's another $5 or $6 billion worth hit right there on the delay and the cost of all that. They will be forced to shut down, and a lot of them will shut down. It will definitely hurt some of the smaller stores. But guys, the big cities are going to be horror movies. We've always thought, what would cause this event to happen? Would it be a nuclear attack? Would it be war? Would it be earthquakes? What would it be? You're starting to see it in real time. Now, it's saying that Democratic lawmakers have written to the Agricultural Secretary Brooks or Brooke Rollins requesting to use contingency funds to cover the bulk of next month's benefits. Now, I can just imagine her throwing that in the trash can after the way they've acted. But a USDA memo that surfaced Friday says contingency funds are not legally available to cover regular benefits. I think Mike Johnson mentioned that in this morning's briefing. The document says the money is reserved for such things such as helping people in disaster areas like earthquakes, hurricanes, and things like this, not man-made disasters that were really the first stage of what Mondami wants in New York, first stage in the nation of accomplishing that by putting so many people on government welfare. And what that does, guys, is it cripples them and it cripples us, the taxpayers. So you have that elite staff. But it says it cited a storm named Melissa, which is strengthened into a major hurricane, as an example of why it's important to have the money available to mobilize quickly in the event of a disaster. The prospect, maybe this time, guys, if you're in the Bahamas, you may not have to take your Trump sign down. The prospect of families not receiving food aid has deeply concerned states run by both parties. Guys, it should deeply concern everyone. Even if you are not a Democrat, even if you're not receiving SNAP. Let me tell you why. Listen, there's going to be a run on the grocery stores, more than likely. There's going to be a big cancellation of that free market movement through the food markets. It's going to be restricted. It's going to become very hard to do. If you're in a big city, it's going to become dangerous. If you do get in line and get something, you may not make it out of the parking lot. And so for over 12 years now, and this is not for an ad, but we have sold 20 and 30-year shelf life survival food. You can get a 3-month package, 6-week package, a 1-year package, 6-month package, a 5-year package. And most of you should have 12 years ago started stacking those things up. And I try not to do many ads on it, guys. I really don't. Some people advertise every 10 minutes in every video they do. Well, I'm going to tell you all about all this happening, but first, let me tell you about this, and this. You don't hear that here. The only things we've talked about on my website: food, money, solar systems, and a little bit of music, which is not necessary. Maybe it is. It is to me sometimes, but anyway, but we don't push it hard. And now I'm starting to regret that we haven't. But thousands of you have bought hundreds of thousands worth of that food over the last dozen years, and you're ready. And let me tell you, there's a danger in that. Do you know what it is? That someone else knows that you're ready. And after people get hungry in less than a week, they're no longer your neighbor or your best friend or your family member necessarily. This is a horror movie forming. It was a nightmare in New Orleans and down on the coast during Katrina. This is nationwide. It affects also all the states. There's a couple of guys I've seen, mayors and governors of some of these red states, or blue states, no, red states. And I'm not sure how many, but a lot of them have pledged money if SNAP doesn't go through, which is not going through, to put in a few million to help their people. They're doing everything they can to keep their illegal voters here and their Antifa voters and all that. And so, but let me tell you, if Walmart's going to lose a minimum of $2 billion a month, you think a couple of million is going to help for very long? They're going to go ahead and bankrupt everybody and hope that politicians like Mondami come in, socialize everything, including the grocery stores, and make it become hell. But guys, we are America. We're not going to put up with it. Trump's doing the right thing. Let's let this thing burn itself out. You know what I mean? Because it's been taken advantage of for too long. We are always a nation that will help the people that need it. But we're tired of being taken advantage of. I'm tired, and I'm old, and I'm tired of it. I still work and I still pay taxes, and I don't get SNAP. I could, but I'm not. I'd rather work. I'd rather contribute to this country than be one of these people that try to keep it torn down all for their snacks. Again, look back, guys, do yourself a favor. Look back at some of these, say, Mississippi, Louisiana Walmarts during Katrina. There were fights. And what would happen, there'd be 50 buggies backed up all the way down a couple of aisles. They get up there and they're saying the cash register was down because of power. And everything was left in fight out to rot and fights and everything else, except this time it's not a quick solution. And of course, think about Walmart closing down, and which would probably be a benefit to a lot of other people if the nation's prepared, but we are not. Thank goodness. And spring won't come too soon, because Trump is putting some money into our farmers during this shutdown. We talked about it. It says other states are telling SNAP recipients to be ready for the benefits to stop. Arkansas, Oklahoma, for example, are advising recipients to identify food pantries and other groups that help with food. That's going to stretch very thin. Why? Because in the last 5 years, 4 of those years was occupied by people that were destroying the nation and the economy. You can't dig out from under that right off the bat. Senator Chris Murphy, a Democrat from Connecticut, accused Republicans and Trump of not agreeing to negotiate. Another bald-faced lie. These guys, their father is the devil, and the devil is the father of lies. And that's who they know. They cannot tell the truth. I think the old saying is, if you repeat a lie long enough, you begin to believe it. Well, I think they're way past that point. Anyway, the reality is, if they sat down to try to negotiate, we could probably come up with something pretty quick. Murphy said Sunday on CNN State of the Union. Guys, but today is the 27th. It's Monday. It's Monday, and there is no money, and it's not going in. Now, are you prepared? I'm talking to everybody out there, from the people that are on SNAP, the people that are not, that work, and you, like a lot of us, that if it wasn't for backup and storage, you make it week or you make it paycheck to paycheck. Then it's going to affect you. So be prepared. And just me doing the video, I almost hate to do it, because it's going to increase the run on the grocery stores. So good luck with that. You may want to get up off and turn Netflix off for a minute, and YouTube off for a minute, and check your cabinets and your pantries and see what you need. The necessities. I'm not talking about cookies and cakes. The necessities. Now, I've been here a long time. I started out, I grew up on a farm where we grew everything we had. Don't mind doing it. But we've also been aware of what this country's been, in the world, not just the country, but the entire world is going to. And this is going to be a domino effect, guys. Europe is overrun by every other country in the nation or the world. A lot of benefits are going out. What's going to happen there? This is going to be a chain effect around the world. It could be a global reset. Right now, you got to worry about one thing: food, shelter, protection. Now, all of you have a Bible and you know what to do with it. Keep that in mind. Keep prayer up. Guys, this thing's about to get rough. There's an old song that talks about how a lady talks about her father. She said he was a good man. He carried a Bible and a 44. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.